still feeling I am this person. It's not so easy to overcome the feeling that I am this body mind. Still feeling I am the body mind. Still feeling I am the doer. I try to do selfless action. That is still based on ignorance. But that, what kind of ignorance is it? It is vidya maya. It will cut the avidya.
Like you explained, Advaita Vedanta has good examples like wave, water, snake rope, etc. But all of them are by design indirect objects. And the necklace doesn't have any tools to figure out gold. Similarly, logically speaking, the Jivatma does not have the Antakarna to break through. So what is the solution?
I'm sorry, repeat that again. Necklace doesn't have
the tools to figure out gold by itself. Similarly, logically, a Jivatma does not have the Antakarna like mind.
But Jivatma does have Antakarna. We all have it, right? We have mind.
All of them are objects.
Right.
So with those objects, at the time of breakthrough, after that matrix.
Okay. So
what would a Jivatma do at the time of?
All right. If I understand correctly, what you're asking is it's a good question, very deep question. That asking us to become enlightened, that you realize you are Brahman with the mind. That's what it's going to do. That even when I say Atma Bodha, that is the second Bodha, second part of it. It requires the mind, and we are using the mind here. It's asking us to become aware. We are limitless consciousness using the mind, which is an objective entity. It's like asking the gold to the necklace to realize that it's gold. It can't. It can't because it's an insentient being. It has no way of realizing anything. All right. I don't know if you know, one of the greatest Kashmiri Shaiva masters, I think it was either Abhinavagupta or Utpaladeva. He said, in their system, the ultimate reality is Shiva, Parashiva. He said, actually, trying to realize, let me back up. There is a book called Vijnana Bhairava, where 112 techniques of meditation are given to help you to realize that you are Parashiva, you are Shiva yourself. Now, this master, I think Utpaladeva or Abhinavagupta, I forget, he says, actually I'll let you into a secret. All of these techniques aren't going to help you. Asking the Jiva to realize that he or she is Shiva is, with the help of the mind and these techniques and everything, is like asking a pot to realize that it is the sun. Literally says a pot to illumine the sun. Asking the pot, please illumine the sun. No, this is crazy. The pot doesn't have light of its own. Physical light. It can't illumine itself. It can't illumine any other pot or anything else, let alone the sun, because the sun does not need the illumination from anything else, from the pot or anything else. Sun is self-revealed. Now he just says this, and he says, if you have understood what I have said, you don't need any of those techniques. If not, go into those techniques. So, what it means, that example itself, pot illumining the sun, it's a very deep example. Pot is not illumined by, a pot cannot and need not illumine the sun. It cannot and need not illumine. But the pot is illumined by the sun. And you are not the pot, you are the sun. So, all that this techniques in Kashmiri Shaivism or Advaita Vedanta, all that it can do is blow away the cloud of ignorance. Knowledge will not reveal Brahman. The mind cannot reveal Brahman. Mind will blow away the ignorance in the mind by generating knowledge in the mind. Brahman is self-revealed. In fact, Brahman is revealed just now. After we make the breakthrough, we'll see the techniques. But one thing I want to let you in here, it seems obvious, but it needs to be said. All the techniques that we will see later on, tomorrow maybe, they are meant to help us to realize that we are Brahman. But once you do, you don't need the techniques anymore. The enlightened person, when he or she wants to become centered, in the real nature as Brahman will not do Drigdrishya Viveka, Panchakosha Viveka, Avastatra instantaneously. It's continuously available to the enlightened person. Enlightened person doesn't have to start with, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and then go back and then realize I am Brahman. No, it's done. No technique is needed for the enlightened person because it's real. It's absolutely effortlessly available. All these techniques are to help us to remove the ignorance in the mind. That's an objective thing. It can be removed by another object. That's a problem at the level of the mind and the solution at the level of the mind. Yeah. This is a subtle question. What thinking about? I hope all the questions are not as difficult than the lady there.
Pranam Maharaj, Paramita from Edmonton. I have two questions connected. You were talking about the vrittis and you talked about the bottle, and you also talked about the hankering after the cookie. And verse 2 talks about knowledge and how without knowledge there is no liberation. So my connected questions are, so is vritti something like memory? So when a child is born and they're seeing a cookie for the first time, has no recollection of any vritti, and or the same thing as a bottle, and then is it something similar to memory? And then the second question, which is
wait, one by one. Is vritti like memory? Yes, and everything else. Vritti simply means modification, change. And in Sanskrit language, vritti will mean change or modification in anything. For example, in grammar, changing of the form, the declensions, they are also vrittis. So, I opened the cap of the bottle and drank water. That's a vritti or a series of vrittis. But here we are not interested in those things. We are only interested in the vrittis of the mind, changes in the mind. So is memory a vritti? Certainly. Is pratyaksha, seeing something is a vritti? Certainly. Is tasting something a vritti? Certainly. All of these give rise to vrittis in the mind. Any change in the mind, knowledge, memory, perception, desire, remembering or forgetting, they are all vrittis in the mind. Change is vritti.
Okay. So the connected question was that what happens to all the knowledge that is banked during a lifetime? What happens to it when the body-mind complex does not exist? And it's also connected to the vrittis. Then if a new child is born, and if I don't know what happens, but do they start again?
So one is, what happens to all our knowledge? Sadly, it's all lost. When the brain is destroyed, it's lost. Not totally though. What happens is, certain tendencies remain. So if you have worked really hard in this life to learn the tabla or the violin or something like that, next life you will be born with a tendency to be musical, maybe a talent. Maybe you will be a child prodigy or something. So you will not remember what has been learnt in this life. You don't start like that. You will have to repeat all of it all over again. But it just might be that everything is so easy for you that what took years and years for your classmates, you will get it in days or weeks. I remember seeing this movie about Mozart, I think. It was called Amadeus, right? So the court musician Salieri, so he was a great musician, but a conventional musician, very talented, much senior to this young upstart boy. And this boy was so talented from the childhood, he was one of those child prodigies. And so I remember in the movie, it's a little dramatic. I read later on, these differences were exaggerated actually. Salieri was not as bad a person as is pointed out. Salieri says that it's a torture for me to know that someone like you exists. With all my effort, with all my my talent and everything, the effort I have to put in to make one composition, without any training, just like that you're sitting and making much better compositions. How? This is like what we call a prodigy or a genius, a born genius. Where does it come from? There is nothing without a cause. So we believe it comes from previous lives. So in one sense it's not lost. If you have intensively done something, that remains, good or bad. A tendency remains. But a related question will come in the next 1 or 2 verses. Enlightenment, when you realize that you are Brahman, after you realize you are Brahman, will that knowledge remain or not? So that question will come. And Sri Ramakrishna says, no, it will not remain. It's like a thorn used to remove another thorn. A thorn has entered my flesh. What do? I take another thorn or a needle and pick out the earlier one. Then do I leave the second thorn in the flesh? Of course not. I throw that away also. I am ignorant of my nature as Brahman. Then with all of this, I generate the knowledge, I am Brahman. That shows me my real nature as Brahman. Then I let go of both, the ignorance and the knowledge also. Because my Brahman nature remains. It was always there, it is there. Wind removes the cloud which was covering the sun, which seemed to cover the sun. Now once the sun is revealed, does the wind need to keep blowing? No. You might say, but the cloud will come and cover it. No. You are the sun. So from your perspective, there is no cloud and nothing ever covered you. So Sri Ramakrishna says, Upama Agdeshi. Analogies, metaphors, they work only up to a certain extent. They point out one thing. And that's why a teacher is necessary, who will tell you what the example is meant to say and what it is not meant to say. That's why the teacher is necessary. Again, Elon Musk, why this example thinking is not always good. Yeah.
Pranam Maharaj, this is Jyoti Ghosh from Calgary. Question from the first chapter actually. First of all, I want to make sure that I'm not putting the cart ahead of the horse actually. Because you may have these answered for tomorrow, but I'll throw the question. So you talked about 4 essential qualifications, like Viveka and Tamasama, etc. How do I know it is already within me? I need to culture that. And the second question is, if I start culturing, how about the maturation time when I know that I have the self-knowledge?
Alright, so when you have self-knowledge, that you don't have to worry about. That you will realize there will be no doubt about it at all. Enlightenment, there is no doubt. All doubts, in fact, one of the characteristics of enlightenment is all doubts dissolve. The Mundaka Upanishad puts it beautifully. Bhidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva samshaya kshiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. Vidyate hridaya granthi, the knots of the heart are dissolved. Chidyante sarva samshaya, all doubts are destroyed. There will be no more doubt, have I attained or not? If we have a question, am I enlightened, have I attained it or not? Then the answer is no, you haven't. It's far safer to say that even if you have attained enlightenment, it's far safer to think that you are still seeking, rather than the opposite, when I have not attained enlightenment and to become convinced that I am enlightened. What will happen then? Nothing will happen. Suffering will teach me. Kicks and blows will teach me. The result, have I transcended suffering? I remember this young monk many years ago, when I was much less mature at that time. A monk whom I know. One of the most wonderful monks I've seen, very advanced spiritually. At that time, I asked him, would you consider yourself enlightened? And he said to me, as a friend of mine, he said, no. And I said, why not? He smiled and he said in Hindi, Abhi bhi dukh hai, dukh hota hai. Even now, suffering afflicts me sometimes. So that's a test. If I wrongly think of myself as enlightened, don't worry, samsara will teach me. Such heavy blows will come, then I'll have to force to admit it has not worked. Reality will teach me. Reality check.
Pranam Maharaj, my name is Sanjay Deval, and I have a question about the third stanza, where it is mentioned that action is from ignorance. Action starts from ignorance. But before that, you gave an example of a table, and the third row of the table the last part, when your chitta is malin, you have to do chitta shuddhi by karma.
Karma yoga.
Karma yoga. So how come the action which is getting generated by ignorance is doing the chitta shuddhi?
Right. So it's a good question. Question might be put in this way. If karma comes from ignorance, but you're saying karma yoga will remove the impurities of the mind. So is that karma yoga? That is also action. Is that also coming from ignorance? Now remember, ignorance has these two aspects. Sri Ramakrishna put it this way. Vidya maya, avidya maya. Remember what ignorance we're talking about. Not the ignorance of a person who doesn't know anything, like silly or stupid. Ignorance, the ultimate ignorance about who am I. Now, this ignorance is there even in a good person or a spiritual person. Until that person becomes enlightened, that ignorance will persist. So, vidya maya, avidya maya. Avidya maya is I am ignorant of my real nature. I just want to be rich and I want to have a great time without any regard for any spirituality, any moral, any ethics. As long as the police doesn't catch me, as long as the IRS doesn't catch me, I will just go ahead and do whatever I like. That is unethical, an immoral life. And that is avidya maya. What is vidya maya? It's still maya. Vidya maya is, so all these teachings are there. I am supposed to be Brahman and that knowledge will free me from all suffering. I wish I could know that. How do I know it? Here are all the practices that are being given to me. I engage in those practices. Still feeling I am this person. It's not so easy to overcome the feeling that I am this body mind. Still feeling I am the body mind. Still feeling I am the doer. I try to do selfless action. That is still based on ignorance. But what kind of ignorance is it? It is vidya maya. It will cut the avidya.